Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News with me, James Dunn. Humberside Fire and Rescue try and use education to reduce the number of accidental house fires on Grimsby's East Marsh estate.
What we're trying to do is educate people around their behaviour.
A school makes a special effort to help students coming to terms with the death of a friend. And Hull commemorates the brave fishermen who lost their lives at sea.
If you had this kind of loss of life in any other walk of life, any other industry, they'd be remembering it.
But first, here's Erica Barker with the news headlines.
Hello, the headlines today. Humberside Police is warning people in North East Lincolnshire not to leave their keys in the door after a spate of thefts. And a scheme gets underway aiming to tackle the growing number of empty houses blighting the region. But first, East Riding of Yorkshire Council say 4,000 businesses are set to benefit from a business rates retail relief scheme. They've agreed to adopt the discretionary government scheme outlined in the Chancellor's statement, under which the government will pay the council fully for the business rate relief offered, which could be any figure up to £1,000. It's hoped it'll throw a lifeline to the UK's struggling high street. In a bid to reduce the number of empty houses in North East Lincolnshire, a new renovation scheme has been launched between the local authority and Shoreline. With over 2,000 homes standing empty for various reasons, the House to Home scheme offers interest-free loans towards improvement and upgrade works. Tenants are then found for the properties. The project managed by Shoreline, who have already had private landlords come forward.
There's a number of empty properties in the borough. These impact on the local street scene and also on our core business, in that we maybe have a number of properties in the same street that are brought down because of the one boarded up property, the one that's in a really bad condition, the possible repair implications if there's damp next door backing onto one of our properties. But further than that, it improves the whole neighbourhood, the look and feel of the street, and maybe makes our properties more desirable.
If they're interested in the scheme, they can contact, obviously, Steve. They can contact Shoreline Direct. There is a website. They can also contact the council and be put through to the Empty Homes team, and we'll refer them through. You know, we are targeting those owners of properties where they're empty and they're not able to get them up to a lettable standard themselves. You know, those are the types of properties that don't need too much work doing that actually this scheme is perfect for. So we would really welcome any approaches, and they can speak to anybody in any of those areas, and we'll make sure that they're referred through.
Detectives across North East Lincolnshire are urging people not to leave keys in the door after a number of incidents where thieves have targeted homes using some sort of a hooking device. It's thought they are able to get the keys and then gain access to the property. This year, 16 homes have been hit, resulting in vehicles, handbags, laptops and mobile phones being stolen. A Barton school is working to help students deal with the loss of a friend. 15-year-old Barton student Cohen Allwood was killed after being hit by a car on the Humber Bridge in November. Many students were deeply affected by the tragedy, so the school brought the Samaritans in to teach them about coping mechanisms for testing events such as bereavement and family splits. A 15-year-old girl was also seriously injured in the incident but is now recovering. Members of the community have since set up the collection fund for Cohen and Katie's family at a bank in Barton's marketplace. Any donations will be split between the two families.
Cohen Allwood was a pupil in year 11. He was absolutely lovely young man, and very tragically lost his life quite recently. Seen very popular boy in school, really lovely guy, had a girlfriend here and lots of a very large friendship group.
MPs across our region have been voting for or against amendments which could see smoking in cars when children are present banned. The House of Commons agreed the Lord's amendments to the Children and Families Bill to give the Health Secretary the power to bring in regulations, including selling tobacco products in standardised plain packaging. But among the MPs who voted against this were Edward Lee for Gainsborough, Martin Vickers, MP for Cleethorpes St Immingham, and Andrew Percy, Member of Parliament for Brigg and Goole. A major campaign to encourage more people to use North Lincolnshire Council's website has got underway. The council say they've made the website easier to use with a more responsive design and improved search function, and it has improved access from a smartphone, tablet or other mobile device following a 50% growth in mobile visits to the council's website last year. On average, it costs the council £8.62 for a face-to-face visit, £2.83 per telephone call and just 15p to do something on the website.
We're seeing an increasing amount of people who want to access our services digitally and online, and as part of this process we've been redeveloping our website, so basically it's 3 clicks and you're through to the service you require. We also monitor the access to our website on a daily basis, so we can see an increasing number of people visiting particular pages. We can also tell the type of device they're using as well, and we've seen in the last year over 50% increase in people using mobile devices, so we can clearly see there's a need to ensure that we're right at the forefront of delivering digital services, but more importantly being able to react to members of the public in this way.
Hull City Council is working in partnership with Hull and East Yorkshire Credit Union to encourage residents to start saving for Christmas. People who open a Christmas saver account with the credit union will receive a £10 starter bonus. They hope by helping families plan ahead, they'll be more likely to avoid the temptation to borrow from high-cost lenders and loan sharks. And that's all from me. Until next time, goodbye.
Thanks, Erica. Getting the right messages out is key for emergency services, as it's easier and safer to stop a problem before it starts. And that's why Humberside Fire and Rescue have launched a new fire safety campaign on the East Marsh estate, where there's been an increase in the number of accidental house fires. Emma Lingard went to find out more.
East Marsh householders are receiving visits from Humberside Fire and Rescue as part of a new fire safety campaign.
Initiatives like this that we carry out are always based on intelligence that we have, and what we've picked up is that the East Marsh area in particular is experiencing a higher number of accidental dwelling fires than other areas within North East Lincolnshire. And also actually, per head of population, the East Marsh ward as a whole is having a higher number of accidental dwelling fires than anywhere else in the Humberside area that we cover.
Each home is being given a fire safety check, which includes a talk on the dangers of smoking and leaving cooking unattended, after 46 house fires were dealt with between April and January.
People do seem to welcome the advice. I think often a common perception from people is that they are not at risk from fire, they don't feel at risk, but when we get in and talk to them, it's not just about identifying hazards that are in the home that may cause a fire. What we're trying to do is educate people around their behaviour, and people are becoming, it's been well received when we're trying to tell people that.
Constant exams, social media, teenagers today live with constant pressure, but students at Barton's Baysgarth are dealing with an additional stress, the loss of a friend. I went along to Baysgarth School to find out what the school is doing to help.
Cohen Allwood was just 15 when he was killed after being hit by a car in Barton in November, and the impact of his death was felt nowhere more than here at Baysgarth School. He was a popular and well-liked student. His brother Tiber is also a pupil here, and his mum Lizzie is a teaching assistant.
On the first day, it was really traumatic. We all just stopped what we were doing and just spent the day really in very deep thought and contemplation. And the impact ongoing has been very different with different people. Some people cope very well. I mean, that's a part of human nature, and others it's taken us a long time, and still an ongoing process of obviously dealing with that very traumatic news.
Cohen's death had a massive impact on everybody in school, whether they knew Cohen or not. Everybody just sort of like seemed to like deal with it like in their own like special way.
It will take time to come to terms with Cohen's death, and it's come during a difficult period for his 15 and 16-year-old friends. So the school has used a special enrichment day to talk to students about coping mechanisms for teenage problems ranging from loss to online abuse.
Well, I think around now we're under pressure because of our exams that are coming up, but we genuinely are, because everyone wants us to do well in school, so we've always got that amount of pressure on us.
It's a really difficult age, it's a really difficult time, I think, with technology and the instant world that they live in. I think there are lots of stresses that I didn't have when I was in secondary school, so yeah, I think it's a really difficult time, and I think they don't hear the message enough that that things will be okay and that there are ways of coping, and things get easier as you get older as well.
The problems especially that's come up today in the activities that we did, whether the problems can be resolved easily or hard, that they'll definitely help in the future.
It was also a chance to explore a historic link with the town. Reverend Chad Vara set up the Samaritans to provide support after holding a funeral for a teenage girl who committed suicide. And he was born just up the road in the St Peter's Church Vicarage, where his father was the vicar. In fact, his brother was a technology teacher here at Baysgarth.
I think it's really lovely that this school coincidentally became involved with us, because I didn't realise before we visited the connection with Chad Vara and Barton upon Humber. So I think it's fantastic that we've come back here. It kind of feels back home for Samaritans. Yeah, really nice.
But for some teenagers, life is simple. This is James Dunn, Estuary TV News, signing off with some inspirational advice from Alfie.
Way of looking at things. Well, I believe if you think about the consequences first, then if they're not that bad, you won't get stressed, and you can always control the consequences. For example, if you're stressed about exams, do revision. You can't do any better than that, can you? So there's no point getting stressed.
Very inspirational.
Have a dream.
Last weekend, hundreds of people attended a memorial service held in Hull to remember the 36 men who died when the Gaul trawler sank 40 years ago. And after 10 years of fundraising, fishing heritage group Stand say final plans are now in place to build a memorial dedicated to the thousands of people who have lost their lives working in the industry. Our reporter Erica Barker visited the charity to find out more.
40 years ago, 36 men died when Hull-based trawler the Gaul sank in 1974. An extensive search operation was launched, but no trace of the ship was found. It was finally located in 1997. The incident followed the Hull triple trawler tragedy in 1968 when 3 vessels sank, killing 58 crew members. This triggered an official inquiry which led to major changes to employment and working practices within the British fishing industry. In total, 6,000 people were lost at sea in what was the UK's most dangerous peacetime profession. To honour the men, fishing group Stand held its annual service to remember those who died, and this year it was dedicated to the Gaul, Hull's last major fishing disaster, in line with its key anniversary.
This city and across the river in Grimsby, they played an important part in the economy of the cities. I mean, West Hull in particular was built on the fishing industry. It was the hub of the fishing industry. And any loss of life, if you had this kind of loss of life in any other walk of life, any other industry, they'd be remembering it.
But Stand say they want to ensure that it is not only people within the seafaring community who remember.
One of the major aims of Stand was that a suitable memorial should be erected on a site which was part of the fish stock, the St Andrews fish stock. That site has been chosen, and we've held an international design competition which we've now completed and chosen a group who will construct this memorial. And it isn't just a memorial for now, but it's for the future generations, to learn about the important part that the fishing industry played in this city.
Hopefully we're going to complete it in 2014. We've had donations, and one really big donation from an ex-trawler owner, but in general we've collected a lot of money through fundraising, through people, unfortunately sad to say, from donations from funeral services.
As the memorial's aims to encourage future generations to learn about the city's heritage, it's hoped the men who were lost at sea will forever be remembered. Erica Barker, Estuary TV.
Thanks, Erica. We look forward to seeing the memorial when it's built. That's all we've got time for today. Don't forget that if you know of any local stories or issues, get in touch by phone on Grimsby 315561, on Facebook or Twitter at Estuary TV, or email us on news@estuary.tv. We'll see you next time.